Hi guys, my name is Dr. Rocker, and if you want to become a better artist, you're on the right place. So take out a pencil and a piece of paper, cause we will practice together now. We will do lots of gesture drawings, you can draw along in real time, and they are all about the Spidey guy. And I guarantee you, if you do this video about 2 to 3 times every week, you will improve immensely. So let's go right into the video. And please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the post notification bell, so you won't miss out on any of my other tutorials. But now for real, let's draw. Okay people, you are in for a treat, because there will be loads and loads of very dynamic poses. All for spider guys, like Miles Morales, the Spider-Man, and all those characters we love. It is always a good thing to start with the line between the shoulders and then define the line from the middle, like the spine, because then you have some ground lines you can lay the whole layout on, if you know what I mean. And you can see this one is actually a pretty simple one to start with, but still quite dynamic. The most important thing about this pose is to make sure that the weight of Spider-Man is carried by his left shoulder actually, because the spider web is in his left arm and the left shoulder needs to be able to carry the whole weight of the body. He's already a little bit floating and in the air, so it's not like really hard, but it had to support the whole body weight when swinging a second before that. And he's looking upward. Actually, he's looking towards Venom, because I took this pose from a drawing David Finch did in one of his Monday night live drawings, where he did a Spider-Man versus Venom piece. The next pose is a very classic Spider-Man pose. You will be able to see that in loads of Spider-Man drawings. You can see I just drew a rectangle for the upper body, because it's quite easy. There's not much foreshortening in the upper body in this one, and there's still the spine, so we can see where everything needs to be. The right arm can be even more foreshortened if you would like that. You can draw him a little bit more to the back. The left arm, it's a quite similar pose to the one we just did, but he's jumping a bit in another direction and his feet are also a bit different. And make sure that the right foot is really big enough. As you could see just now, I drew him in and it was way too small. It needs to be way bigger than the head. So just be aware of that. And now I'm just finishing it off and cleaning it up a little bit, tracing some lines. And this is a good time to tell you, you should check out my gesture drawing video. There's another one where I just do the normal body types like Batman, Superman and stuff like that. That's also a very good training. Even if you're more into like Spider-Man guys or something like that, you still should be able to draw bigger proportions and smaller ones as well. So in both ways, it's very important to practice all of them. The next pose is a little bit harder, because it's a little bit more advanced, because it's lots of foreshortening. You can see the oval I drew here is the upper body from above, because in this pose the Spider-Man is jumping towards us, and this is the drawing from the really good cover David Finch did for it. I think it's the most iconic Spider-Man drawing David Finch ever did. That's the one for the cover where he was escaping from a gazillion bombs. A really cool one. He was swinging through the city, lots of bombs behind him, and it's a really cool drawing. But like I said, it's a little bit more advanced because of the whole foreshortening. You have to draw the right arm, the right hand really big. If you compare it to the head, it's even bigger than the head. And if you compare it to the left hand, that's a whole big difference. And there's also a little bit of a twist in the torso, which is to be aware of. And the legs,
They look funny at the first glance, but they are right as they are, and it looks really cool. Really give this a try. And should you have trouble with this one, no worries, because like I said, it might go wrong easily. It's a tough one, but still give it a try and you might like the outcome. And all these gestures, they need to be drawn quite often anyway, so you get them in your muscle memory and then they will work, you will see. And especially with a tough one where many lines are quite near to the next ones, make sure to clean it up every now and then. If you're also in the possession of such a stick eraser I'm using most of the time, that's a very good one, but you can also use a normal one. It's a little bit harder, but still, you can even draw bigger, then it's easier. And speaking of sizes, you can draw these very small or very big. I would just recommend that you find a size you are most comfortable with and just try to draw them, and then draw them all a little bit bigger and also a little bit smaller. Usually it's harder to go bigger, but still try it out, and it will also help you a lot to become a better artist, because you have to face the truth and make sure to be able to draw all those things, big and small. If you are drawing digitally, you can ignore that a little bit more. You still should be able to draw things in all kind of sizes. But yeah, if you draw digitally, you can draw in your most favorite size and then size it up or down, whatever. This is also a very cool pose, very dynamic. There needs to be a rope in the right hand of the Spider-Man, and the left one is shooting for the next one. It's not as hard as you might think. It looks really cool, but it's not such a hard pose. There's not so much foreshortening going on. I would say the hardest thing about all the Spider-Man drawings are the legs and the feet, because they are in such weird angles all the time. So just practice them and be aware of that you need to get them right, and then you will produce nice Spider-Man drawings. Like this one. But Spider-Man is not always in the air. Most of the time he is, but we also need to draw him on the ground, which we are doing right now. So just follow along. Also not the hardest pose. Try to get the right hand right, because that makes a big difference. You can see the fingers are a bit spread because he needs to support his whole weight. Well, maybe not his whole weight, but a lot of weight from jumping down. Or he could also just want to jump up. That's the same pose actually. And you can see there's not much foreshortening in the whole pose, which makes it easier, I guess. The left arm is a little bit foreshortened, and you can even foreshorten him way more. That's very easy. You just have to draw a smaller upper arm, and the right leg is coming towards us very much, and the left one will be spread out to the back. Really cool pose. I love this one. That's a very common one. I just used a Google image of Spider-Man, not a comic book drawing, just a normal pose from the movies, because that's one they use quite a lot. But I think we can see why, because it looks really awesome. And I would say this is even a pose you could use for the Batman, for example. Of course you have to put more meat on the bones, but still that would work for the Batman or Superman, loads of other heroes. But now it's time to go up in the air again. Now we will swing Spider-Man through the skyscrapers. It's also a very simple pose actually. he will be very stretched out, and he's very thin, so usually for the arms and the legs you can just draw really like almost a stick figure, and make sure to give him some lateralis muscles, I think. Are those the lateralis? You know what I mean anyway. Yeah, the legs, the right leg is a little bit bent and the left one is straight. Looks pretty cool as well. What makes this pose, in my opinion, is that the head is squeezed between the arms. That's looking very cool. You can make him look downward. It's a pretty cool pose if you want to draw him when he's trying to find a place to land, or maybe checking out the situation and trying to see what the villain is up to. In my case, I let him look towards the camera, so maybe we are the villain and he's coming at us. And now it's time for a tough one again. In this pose, Spider-Man is sticking to a wall. You can see I make place for the upper body from above, which means the lowest line you can see from the shoulder beginning. This is not the chest muscle, this is the area where the collarbones are almost. So that's very important to do. The left arm is just bent and ready to jump to action, and there you can see how much foreshortening is in the body. It's a crazy pose, but it looks pretty cool. But also a hard one, so don't despair if you don't get it right the first time. The right leg is also, which actually the right foot is sticking on the wall, and also the left one, of course. But the left one is coming at us in a very direct angle. It's really a crazy pose, but it works. It's originally done by Jim Lee, and he's crazy. I think he sold his soul for drawing extra cool and weird poses, because he's the master of that. We have to give him that. He's amazing. I also love all the other aspects of his work, but that's especially insane what he's doing with those poses. The right arm is quite similar to the left one, so also ready for action, but not sticking to the wall. He's just sticking to the wall with his feet, and he's supporting the whole weight of his body with his stomach muscles, and also a bit leaning on his left leg, I guess. Now we have to clean it up a little bit so we can see properly that the leg is in the foreground, and we are almost not able to see anything from the upper body, just a little bit. And to make that clear, I try to clean it up a bit and draw in the most important lines again. That's a tough one, but pretty cool, and it's a different one. And since we are going extreme here, check this one out. The shoulders are really bent, so we can actually see a little bit of the back, and the right arm is stretched out towards us, where he's about to shoot his spider webs. And this again is actually the back, and there's the head. The head is below the line of the back, which is really a really crazy pose as well. The left arm is bent downwards because this one is supporting the body with the spider web. And in this pose we can really good see why he's called the Spider-Man, because his legs come out in such a weird angle, like almost looking like a human spider. That's really good actually, because we want that. But it's also quite a tough pose, because lots can go wrong. But give it a try. Give it a try. Don't give up. Even if it looks messy at the beginning, you might be on the right track without even realizing that. So stick in there. Stay there like the Spider-Man. But we are actually already done. Now I will clean it up a little bit and do some details. But you can see that's a really cool pose as well. What's important to know in this one is the left leg and especially the left foot needs to be quite thin, quite small actually, because they are way back in comparison to the right leg. You could even go more extreme and do the right foot a bit bigger, draw him a little bit bigger, and you could also bend the left leg more. So now it's time to do a bit of a relaxed pose again. Well, we are far beyond relaxed when it's coming to the Spider-Man, because they all need to be so dynamic, which makes it harder of course, but still also worth the effort because they really look pretty cool. You can see there's a really hard bend on the upper body, in the upper body, and the left arm is reaching towards us a bit, so the left hand needs to be quite big. The right arm is reaching back there, so way smaller. There's, with all the Spider-Man drawings, there's a lot of foreshortening in the arms and legs, so make sure to get them right and be daring, because it's always happening, also to me, although I'm drawing so much, but still I draw something not big enough or not small enough. Just be daring, like I said, and make the arm extra, the hand extra big, or a foot extra small, because it's necessary, especially when drawing comics, because we are going larger than life and also we need to exaggerate in all directions. So make sure to keep that in mind. If in doubt, make it bigger or smaller and see if it fits. If not, we have the eraser. Okay, so you can see where this pose goes already. It's also a pretty cool one. He's flying in the air. The left leg is almost not to be seen because he's bent in a 90 degree angle to us, which means there's only the foot to be seen. There's the spider webs, and that's actually the most important part of the pose. Now I'm trying to make it a little bit more clear with some thicker lines. I'm not pressing very hard when I'm drawing, but I think that's not bad. So it's hard to see it properly on the video, and that's also a reason why I like to use softer pencils when I do the construction of my drawings. But you can use whatever you want, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you are pressing harder, then feel free to use a harder pencil like an H or a 2H. Now we are drawing him swinging on the ropes again. This is just the upper body. I put it into 2 squares because there's a big bend in the upper body, and this way it's easier to draw it. The arms are just stretched out. It's similar to one of the other poses where he was squeezing the head through his arms, but it's still a different pose, and you can see there's a big bend in the upper body, like I said earlier. There's the head already. You can also alter the head and let him look a little bit more downward, but not too much, because even Spider-Man has its limits. So don't bend him too much in too many directions. That might look weird, but you could certainly try out everything and go there, so you know where the limits are. It's also important to make mistakes. The left leg is really nice looking, I think. He's bent towards quite a bit. There's so much movement in this in this pose. So make sure to get that right. And also, again, make sure that the sizes are correct, because you can see the left leg, especially the left foot, is further away from the viewers, so it's smaller. And also be aware that the chest muscles need to be drawn in correct. You can see the rib cage quite good because the upper body is bent so much. Here we are drawing in the lines for the eyes. It's always quite easy with the Spider-Man because no face whatsoever, just the eyes. And now we are cleaning up a little bit so we see everything properly. And if you take a look above this drawing, it's the same one. I had to draw it twice because I wasn't paying attention again, and I was out of the frame. It wasn't on camera. Okay, some spider webs and another one is done. And this, my friends, is the last one of today's drawing practice. I hope you stuck in there, because if you made it this far, you will be way better already. I promise you that, guaranteed. And you can see this is one where Spider-Man is jumping off the ropes. I really like this one, and since I like this one a lot, I decided to just take it and do a decent drawing with that one. And not just that, I guess I will do 2 of those poses, because Spider-Man is such a small guy, you can fit so many of them on a piece of paper, no problem whatsoever. But more of that in a second. First we will concentrate to finish up our drawing practice right here. We will do a very bent leg. He's really having lots of movement. He's bending his leg. The foot is too small, but I guess I will correct that. He's really jumping very fast through the air. No net, no ropes, he just left them behind him. He might be jumping on an enemy, or maybe he's just using the forward movement to shoot the next rope out of his hand in a second. In any case, he's looking downwards and checking out the situation. And as I said earlier, once this is done, I will start with this pose and use a decent piece of paper, a Strathmore 200 series, and then I will sketch out this pose again and do a decent drawing. And I will also do some colors. So let's go!
Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it.
Now some colors!
Done with some quick colors. Let's take a closer look. First, let me show you the finished drawing. That was the pose I used for Spider-Man. And here's the actual Spider-Man, just the other way around, because for some reason I wanted to fit him on the piece of paper like that. And you can see the rendering technique is kind of my new style. I like those lots of lines and I'm fiddling around with that a lot lately, but I will do a video on this one soon enough. So look out for that if you're interested in style choices. And this is the pose I chose for Miles Morales right there. Way in the background, not as much details necessary as in the Spider-Man, but still pretty cool. And I actually also really like the spider webs. Also on Miles Morales right here. I learned how to do them from David Finch.
And here's the thing in full color. I only did a very quick coloring swipe, but I think I'm getting better. Well, at least I'm getting quicker, because I think it doesn't look half bad. And I took a photo of a city, used some artsy effect on Photoshop, and then I emailed it to myself so I could use it in Procreate, and here we go. Pretty neat background. So I hope you like what I did with this pose. And also the one I chose for Miles Morales.
Okay people, and that is it for today's video. I hope you had fun watching, and I hope it was fun for you to draw with me. And remember, practicing those gesture drawings is one of the most important things you have to do to get better as an artist, and also to stay good as an artist. Because even if you reached a certain point where you think, well, I am able to produce some decent drawings, you have to stay on target and don't forget to practice all the time. So make sure to watch this video again and again, and do it again and again. You could do it every other day and you will improve immensely. And since I guess you like Spider-Man, I want you to go and watch this video now. That's where I show you how to draw the Spider-Man step by step with all you need to know. You just can follow along. It goes from gesture drawing to the finished piece. So have a great day, see you there, and don't forget to draw every day, my friends.